next subject I wanted to speak to you about, Peter, is I think one that's going to create quite a bit of interest. I believe you've been exploring the possibility of staging a trainers' championship meeting.
Yeah, I was informed that the GTA ceased a while back, and I was asked by somebody at the GPGB whether I'd fancy taking it over and looking to do a trainers' championship. Now, I've been very busy in my personal life in different areas that it sort of went to the back of my mind. And it wasn't until somebody brought it up to me, one of the trainers, and then it was actually Toaster what brought it up to me as well. I inquired about it. Well, I realised that Sheffield were the last people to host it. So I spoke to Dave Perry, who I've got the utmost respect and time for. I like Dave. So I spoke to him today, and he's actually said at this point in time, they wouldn't want to really be holding it. So I've got to go back to Toaster and ask them, have we got a sponsor lined up? Can they do it? I'm waiting for the GB Amanda Duplot, GBGB, to tell me about what the time slots sort of like really capable of taking. It looks, when I've gone through the calendar, towards the end of April whether we could fit it in. Now, I've obviously got to put it out there if there's any other tracks would be interested in taking it in. It's very expensive to get sponsorship, so obviously it's an undertaking. But likes of Mark Wallace, Patrick Janssens, Kevin Hutton, Harrison's, Paul Young's, all the big trainers out of Kyle's. I can't go over how many there is out there, which I'm not 100% sure is in the top 6. So it's whether they've got the time, what's their sort of time constraints. But I think it's good. People like to see these top trainers with their top dogs competing against it. I always like it. I always like watching it. There's no chance of me ever getting in there, but it's nice to see. And I was talking to Mark Wallace on Monday about it, and he said, why don't we do like a consolation for the top, 12 to 6 sort of thing, for them to have maybe 4 races. But I have aired it with a few people, and I think it'd be a bit tricky this year. So if we manage to get the 6 races for the 6 top trainers, get some decent prize money out there and let us all watch. I still think it's such a shame that Betfair came out of it when they did, because the actual Trainers' Championship served the Betfair type of market really well. But Betfair wanted to come out of it. Whether they talk about the politics of it, why they did come out of it at the time, it's pretty well known. We knew they wanted a way out, and it came a way out. So it's a shame they've never got back involved. I might speak to them and see whether they fancy it again.
Yeah, the one couple of points I'd make is, first of all, I thought second only to the Derby, it was the best meeting of the year. Second to the Derby meeting. I absolutely love the Trainers' Championship meeting, and going back over years and years and years, Drew Pisvieri and Rapid Ranger and all these various dogs that trainers would churn out. You'd have Derby winners, Ledger winners, all running against each other on a single night.
You'll find these trainers take it very, very personal. Absolutely. And they really want to win it. They really want to win this. This is the points, with Patrick winning the points, that's special. But I think the actual competition on the day, I think it fires them up. It really fires them up.
I think that it should be a reward. If you want to give trainers that there is bugger all for finishing top trainer, apart from the kudos, which is obviously greatly earned. But to get the opportunity to get into that top 6, and then to take part. The other point about it was, as you said, it's been at Sheffield, but it certainly isn't a Sheffield only race. I mean, I think originally it started off in Newcastle, and it's been just about everywhere: Walthamstow, White City, Wimbledon, Central Park. I think you had it at Nottingham one year, Hall Green. It's like the TV Trophy. It is something that travels and goes around if you can find a suitable sponsor.
Yeah, it is, but I've got a lot of time for Dave Perry, and I think you've got to give people respect and inquire. These people have put these races on before, and they've done good by the sport by the ground industry. You can't, just because Toaster's come along and Toaster wants to do this and that, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket with Toaster. You've got to give people the opportunity. We're very lucky to have Toaster what's managing to come up with the money and do things, but this industry is more than one track.
I agree that the only point I was trying to make, though, Peter, is that it isn't by all means, Sheffield you know, should be first at the queue to be offered it. But it isn't a Sheffield event. That's what the point I'm trying to
No,
make. It is an event that's
yeah,
travelled up and down the country. And if it was to go from Sheffield, there isn't a reason that it couldn't go somewhere else. And I agree. I mean, Sheffield ticks so many boxes. Apart from the fact that trainers like the track, they love the facility, they love the running circuit, everything. It ticks every box. It's also, you know, geographically very handily placed. But ultimately, so I guess it's a little bit like the English Derby. You know, my understanding was that the Toaster bid was half as much again as the Nottingham bid. And if whoever comes up, if Hove comes up and says, you know, we will offer X amount to stay to Trainers Championship, then they should get it, because ultimately it is the trainers' event, and it's not. You know, I don't think track. This is one event that the tracks don't have proprietary control over. It's really down to
no, I do think for me, if we could get it in April, I think it would be good for Toaster this time because they've got the Derby on. I think it would give the trainers' dogs a good sighter in preparation for the Derby. So I think that's a real positive. So you've got to take the trainers' inputs into it as well.
Yeah.
It's not just. I don't think it's just solely about the money. I don't think money should be always the be end all everything. It should be the best for the situation or best for the sport. That's how I look at things.
Which was the same with Derby, of course, because again, you couldn't have just said, well, you know, we're going to run the Derby at Romford because they've offered the most money. That wouldn't have been acceptable. I think the Trainers' Championship's the same. We certainly know that Toaster would tick boxes. We know Sheffield would tick boxes. Monmore. There'd be a number of tracks that I think trainers would definitely go for. But well, I hope maybe as a result of this, maybe we will get some kind of interest. Obviously, it is no longer GTA, no longer exists, so it would simply be a trainers' championship, would it not?
Yeah, it's the GBGB Trainers Championship, which I'll be spearheading and looking after. So it's not taking anybody's race as in such. We're just making sure that there's going to be a trainers' championship out there. So if the GTA want to resurrect itself, they can have one later on in the year if they want to, if they can plan it in. You know, all the better. Any more money comes into the sport and more money to these trainers and owners, all the better.
Very much so.